I, 22F, never wanted to destroy my family. 3 years ago, after my mom passed away, my dad remarried a woman I'll call Claire. She acted sweet around him, but treated me like I was a guest in my own home. She'd throw away gifts my mom left me, tell relatives I was emotionally unstable, and even convinced my dad I was making things up whenever I confronted her. I kept quiet because dad looked genuinely happy for the first time since mom died. Last week was his 55th birthday, and the whole family came over. During dinner, Claire stood up and gave this emotional speech about how she'd united the family. Everyone applauded while I just sat there, remembering everything she'd done. Then my little cousin accidentally asked why Claire had sold grandma's necklace online if it was a family heirloom. The room went completely silent. Claire laughed and said kids make things up, but I already knew the truth because I'd found the listing months ago and saved every screenshot.
I quietly pulled out my phone and connected it to the TV because my cousin had been showing vacation photos earlier. Instead of photos, the screenshots popped up. There was the listing. There was Claire's account. There were messages negotiating the price and even her bank confirmation after the sale. Then I showed another folder security camera clips from our hallway. They showed Claire taking jewelry from my mom's keepsake box late at night while dad was away on a business trip. She'd always claimed the box had been empty when we opened it together. The excuses started immediately. First, she blamed hackers. Then she claimed she'd only sold the jewelry to protect it. Finally, she accused me of editing everything with AI. Nobody believed her because the timestamps matched perfectly. My aunt recognized one of Grandma's bracelets in the listing. My uncle looked furious. Dad just stared at the screen without saying a single word. I'd never seen him look so completely shattered. Claire suddenly burst into tears and ran upstairs. Half the family followed her while the other half stayed with Dad. 10 minutes later, she came back holding a folder and claimed she'd been forced to sell the jewelry because Dad secretly had gambling debts. That completely blindsided everyone. Dad looked confused before calmly walking to his office and returning with every financial statement from the past 5 years. No gambling. No hidden loans. In fact, their savings account had been shrinking because someone had been making monthly transfers to an account Dad didn't recognize. My cousin, who's an accountant, started checking the statements right there. The account belonged to Claire's younger brother. Over $42,000 had disappeared in small payments that Dad never noticed because Claire handled most of the finances. Suddenly, her entire story fell apart. Even her own sister admitted she'd been borrowing money for years and had always lied about where it came from. Dad quietly asked Claire one question. Was any of this ever real? She didn't answer. She just packed a suitcase and left before midnight. The next morning, Dad apologized to me for never believing me and admitted he'd ignored every warning because he was terrified of being alone after losing Mom. We later recovered a few of Grandma's pieces from pawn shops, but most of them were gone forever. Claire's brother eventually agreed to repay part of the money to avoid court, but our family still isn't the same. Some relatives think I should have exposed everything years ago instead of waiting until Dad's birthday. Others say that if I hadn't done it then, Claire would have kept stealing for years. Dad says I saved him from losing everything, but I still feel guilty because that birthday became the worst day of his life. So Ada for ruining my dad's birthday to expose my stepmom's lies.